Good morning and welcome back to Cozy Shenanigans, where we watch cozy movies, read cozy books, and do cozy crafts. My name is Sheena. I am your host, coming to you from the Pacific Northwest. And for my returning viewers, I hope I haven't worn you out on knitting marathon videos, because I have another one scheduled for today because the holidays are coming up and I am woefully behind. So today I am going to try to finish the Cthulhu cardigan. So today I'm going to try to finish the Cthulhu sweater that I'm making for my father-in-law. I finished the body last night. I just need to seam the shoulders and then pick up for the sleeves, and then that will hopefully be done. I do have color work planned for the cuffs of the sleeves, but I don't know, that might get left behind based on time. I also need to do the collar, and then I need to steek and put in a zipper. But it is currently November 11th, which is a holiday here in the US, so I have pretty much all day that I can knit. I do have to do some like household chores at various points in the day, but most of today is going to be working on knitting. And I am going to be watching today The Art of Crime, which, if you remember from my Cozy en Français video, that is a French television series on Hoopla, which is about an art historian and someone from their art crimes unit in the police force in Paris, I believe. And they team up to track down art theft and forgeries. I really enjoyed that show. My background is actually in Renaissance art history. That is what I studied in Florence. I also have French heritage, a lot of it. So I'm really excited to finish watching this show. I think there are multiple seasons on Hoopla. I'm trying to get through season 1 right now. And I have already watched the first 2 episodes because the episodes come in pairs. So I'm going to start with the second arc, the second pair of episodes, and we're going to go from there. So let me show you my current status on the sweater, which I probably can't get in frame. It is a men's 2XL, so it is quite large, but I will show you what I can. It's currently inside out for seaming purposes. So here we go. I'm using stitch markers to mark the center of the neckline and where the shoulder seams are going to end. So yes, it is a big boy. I need to seam and pick up for the standing collar right here. I've got some sneaking stitches right here. I actually ripped back and added an extra inch of steek to it. This will be my first time actually sneaking, so wish me luck. And let's get started, I guess. Oh, but before we get started, I actually need to wind up 2 more balls of this gray yarn. I've actually got another ball of sock yarn I want to wind up while I have the Swift out. And then we will get started on the actual knitting portion. Yes, I do use my bed for literally everything, because to say floor space is at a minimum in my house is a gross understatement. pro tip, if you have an Amish Swift hair ties, it makes it rotate much quieter. If you were trying to figure out what my setup is for winding yarn in bed, I put the Swift down here. As you can see, this is a bamboo lap desk from Target. We have a lot of antique furniture in this house, so a lot of the edges are too thick for me to put my ball winder on. So I just clamp it on here. Sometimes I have the legs up, right now they're down, and then I just hold it in my lap, and I can start winding, and I can go pretty fast this way. So just to recap, we now have 2 cakes of Cascade 220 in the colorway 8400, which is a gray. I think it might be called Slate or something. I do not remember. And it doesn't say on here what the actual color name is, but when I ordered it, it had a name. So this sock yarn I got when we went on a road trip to Portland last May. And this is Zodiac yarn by the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. It was an exclusive colorway for the Starlight Knitting Society, which is just outside of Portland. And the colorway is Cancer, which is actually my zodiac sign. And I've been wanting to use this yarn for ages, but I've decided that this is going to be my reward for finishing the sweater. And I'm going to make a pair of mint tea socks out of it. Now, if you're saying, but Sheena, you made mint tea socks out of that really vibrant purple yarn not too long ago. No, I did not. That yarn was way too loud for that stitch pattern, so I ended up making a pair of chevron socks instead. Which you can actually see in my most recent podcast episode on my main channel. But the mint tea in the mint colorway is going to be my reward once I finish the sweater. I have a habit of casting on too many projects. And the thing is, I rotate between all of them. So it's not like any of them are really languishing. Like I have a super long-term project in the living room. And then I've got these 2 big holiday gifts that I'm working on. And then I usually have something smaller that I keep by my bed. And then I've got something that I keep in my desk at work. So it's usually a pretty manageable rotation. I've currently got 1 more project on the go than I would like. And once I finish the holiday gifts, I'm really going to work on that long-term project and try and get it done because I'm sick of it staring at me every time I go in the living room. So that's kind of the plan, but that's future me's problem. Today me just has to worry about this gray sweater. So let me put away all of this stuff and get the next episode checked out from Hoopla, and then we can queue up and just start going. And to take a break to cuddle with Signor Gato, Monsieur Hermes. I also got myself some breakfast. I've got a bagel, and I needed a cup of tea because I am one of those unlucky knitters who is allergic to lanolin, and winding up all of that yarn was really getting to me. The Cascade 220 that I'm using, I accidentally bought the non-superwash version, which was not my intent. However, it was more of a fact to return it than to just keep it and use it. And one of the reasons that this project has taken so long is it makes my hands itch. If I work on it for a long period of time, it can cause like nasal breathing issues for me if I get a lot of the like lint and little fibers mixed up in the air. And also my spouse is very allergic to lanolin and wool in general. So it's something that I have to be careful about how I use. Also, it was just too big and heavy of a sweater to work on over the summer. So I had to wait for it to cool down enough to work on since we don't have air conditioning. I am now 30 minutes into the second arc of this series. Season 1 is only 6 episodes, so I've only got one more arc after this. I have checked out all 4 episodes from Hoopla. This arc deals with a murder at the Paris Art School. It's like L'École des Beaux-Arts de Paris, I think is what it's called. I don't remember the name of the school. And it's a murder of a student, and the murder centers around a painting from, I can't remember if they said 17th century or 1700s. I would call it almost Rococo, but they're calling it Regency, and I'm not sure if that's just like a regional difference in what they call certain time periods. So I'm not sure if that is a regional difference in just what people call certain time periods in different countries. For example, I know not everybody would refer to the bulk of the 1800s as being the Victorian era. I use that phrasing because I am an English speaker, and a lot of my historical knowledge, apart from Renaissance era art history, has to do with the Victorian period and the era specifically from about 1850 to 1900. But that general era when she was reigning, and she was a big influence on the entire world because at the time Britain owned half of the planet. So anyway, that's a whole other ramble. But I am enjoying this show so far. I absolutely love the main character in this. She is just like so sweet, and she wears her heart on her sleeve. She's really funny. And I love the dynamic between her and the cop, because he just gets so annoyed with her for existing. But it's really funny. So I am going to eat my bagel real quick before I get back to the knitting, and then we will continue. I did get the sleeves attached, or not the sleeves, I did get the shoulders attached. So now I can go ahead and pick up stitches for the sleeves, and I think I'm gonna do the sleeves first, just because I already replaced my cake on my little holder. And then I've got just this little amount left, and I think this should be enough to get the collar done, hopefully. I'm going to add a couple of stripes to the collar in this green. This is the green that I used for the color work at the hem. And if I have time, I'm going to add more of the Cthulhu things to the cuff. But I also discovered with the body that I had to change my stitch count to accommodate for the color work, and then going into plain stockinette in one color. So what I might do is just do a couple rows of stripes around the sleeves as well. So let's get on to breakfast and then sleeve number 1. I did not make as much progress as I wanted to during those 2 episodes, but I did pick up my stitches and I got that much done. That is maybe 5 rounds, something like that. So for these 2 episodes, I wanted to talk about them specifically. It's called A Murderous Party. It's episodes 3 and 4 of The Art of Crime. And I want to put a trigger warning on this one for sexual assault. So for me, that takes it out of the more cozy genre because it has a trigger warning that comes with it. But I did want to talk about it for just a second and kind of put it in context and talk about what happened. So in these two episodes deal with the fallout of a serial rapist who is on campus. And he's not like the grab women and shove them into a bathroom and rape them type of rapist. He is the we're gonna go on a date type of rapist. And this episode, or this arc, is very important. It was filmed in 2017, and I'm not saying that like this series specifically had anything to do with this, but it was definitely part of the discourse that was happening between like 2016, 2017 up through the present day in France, because as of October 31st, 2025, today is November 11th, 2025, France has only just changed their sexual assault laws to include consent. Previously, rape could only be prosecuted if it included force. And I'm going to link to an article down below, but it was, according to the article, there are about 230,000 cases of sexual assault in France every year. Less than half are reported, and only about 8,000 actually get prosecuted. That doesn't necessarily mean that the person is found guilty, but only 8,000 actually make it to court, which is shocking. To put that in context, that is just over 3%. So that is a really horrific number. And I know our numbers here in the US are not great, but for only 3% of sexual assaults in France to even make it to court is shocking. Actually, shocking probably shouldn't be the right word for that, but it is horrible. So I'm not even sure how to speak about this, just because there's so much that goes into it, and I don't want to give a lot of spoilers or talk about YouTube inappropriate things at excess. That's not what the point of this channel is. I have thought about doing a true crime channel. That is not this one. So these episodes were kind of a lot, and they are centered around the works of two different artists. One of them is a male painter. I believe they're pronouncing his name Watteau. He's not one that I'm particularly familiar with. My expertise is Italian Renaissance, and this was 1700s France. And between him and Artemisia Gentileschi, who I am very familiar with. And the dichotomy of this man who paints very sexual scenes involving very distant women, multiple paintings of his depicted assault. And then we have Artemisia Gentileschi, who repeatedly painted women getting revenge on men who assaulted them. And one thing that I haven't really mentioned up to this point about this series is that the main character, Florence, she actually talks to the dead painters, and it's unclear if she's like hallucinating or if these are just conversations that happen in her head, like she's imagining what would happen if she could talk to them. It's unclear, but her conversation with Artemisia was very poignant, and I like the way that it was handled. And because this is set in France, and because of the stigma and how long it took them to get that law changed, There is quite a bit of sexism that pops up in this series that I didn't really expect, because when it comes to things like equality and diversity and equity, Europe does tend to be quite a bit ahead of the US in a lot of different ways. And so to see that here was quite surprising for me. But so that's the warning. If you are particularly sensitive to those topics, I would maybe skip these 2 episodes. I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact on the latter episodes, but we'll find out. And I will let you know moving forward. Right now, it seems to be a fairly episodic series. There might be some carryover from previous stories, but as long as you are watching the individual pairs of episodes in order, I don't think that you'll have an issue skipping a pair. So I'm going to get back to episodes 5 and 6 and get back to the knitting. I've got the next 2 after that, which is the first 2 of series 2 checked out. And then I think I have 3 more that I can get after that. This is the allergy spray for my cat because he's being a brat. They're water bottle trained, so I'm gonna get back to watching this. I've still got 3 more checkouts that I haven't used. I think I'm gonna use 2 of them for the second set of episodes for season 2, and then I'm gonna hold off and use that one last checkout for something else, and then pick up in December with the rest of the series. It is really frustrating that you can only get 10 episodes at a time through Hoopla. If I was getting DVDs from the library, then I could get a whole season as a single checkout. But that doesn't work with Hoopla, and my library does not carry this series on DVD, unfortunately. So, onward. Third kitten of the day. This is why I can't get any work done. Bonjour. It's a couple days later. It's still early. It is not even 8 o'clock yet. but I'm up. I have my sweater. This is where we're at. This has not been progressing as quickly as I would like. And that is partially my ADHD, and it is partially the cats, and it's partially I don't knit as fast as I think I do sometimes. Part of my problem is that when I'm watching things with subtitles, or in general, if I get really into something, but particularly if it has subtitles, I'll just like put down what I'm doing and I'm just really focused on what's going on the screen, which has happened a lot with this. There's been a couple of episodes or sections of episodes where there's been a lot of names and history thrown around, so it's been taking more of my attention to figure out what's going on. And some of the subtitles can go by really fast. And I'm a fairly speedy reader. I'm not a speed reader, but it's been quite a lot to keep up with. And then the other thing is that Bast really loves this sweater, like really, really, really loves this sweater. And he keeps laying on it and making it harder to work on. And then Hermes has also discovered that he loves this sweater, so they've been fighting over who gets to lay on it. So I'm having to like keep the cats separate, but also work on the project. And it's so cute and heartwarming and endearing that they want to spend time with me and that they like what I'm working on and everything. But it's also like, come on guys, can you find another hobby? So I started on season 2 last night. I got through the first episode. I'm going to watch the second one now and finish up that arc. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I really liked the last 2 episodes of season 1. I'm enjoying the story for season 2, which involves a copyist and a restorer. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. I'm enjoying it. And as usual in TV shows where they've got like a male lead and a female lead, they're always hinting that the two of them are going to get together. And one of my favorite subtle ways that they did this in season 1 is they're always fighting about the coffee maker in his office. And it's this like white Mr. Coffee, very basic drip coffee maker. And the restorer, Florence, or the historian, I'm sorry, Florence, she's like, your coffee is terrible. This is so bad. Can't we bring in something to make Italian coffee? Just like a little one, just a little one. And he's like, I like my coffee. My coffee is just fine. And so to celebrate solving their second case, she brings in like a Nescafe thing, and it's, you know, the arch, and it's gray and black and very sleek. And through the next couple of episodes, he's using this mug that's kind of this shape that's gray and matches that coffee maker, and she's using a basic like white cylinder mug that matches the other one. So that I think that's just kind of like a little cute sort of foreshadowing personality thing that showed up in it. And then he starts secretly drinking her coffee because he discovers that it's actually really good. But that's just like one of my favorite little side things in this series so far. I'm really enjoying it. I do highly recommend it. I think I still have 3 checkouts left on Hoopla, so I can get one more arc in that I will probably try to watch today. But after that, I'm gonna have to end this video because I won't be able to watch any more French TV. So next month maybe. I think that's all I've got to update you on. So I'm going to get the TV started, start working on that, and I will check in with you later. It is the next day. I have watched all that I can of The Art of Crime. I'm out of Hoopla checkouts now, so I wanted to check in, give you an update, and let you know what I'm thinking of the series so far and how much progress I've made. So this is where we are on the sleeve. I did not get as far as I wanted to, but I also realized that this sleeve is massive. So I still think it's the right size. I'm afraid to go down too much, but I have started on my decreases, so it should start going faster from here on out. As for the show, I am 4 episodes into season 2 now, and a couple of things that I have not enjoyed. The main male character, I think his last name is Varley, Varley, the captain. His name's Antoine. We'll call him Antoine. He is coming from like the major crimes unit. He deals with gangsters and murderers and all this stuff. So he's a bit coarser than the main cast in the art crimes unit. And he uses some language that in the US today is not okay. And it's just like, it'll be one line like every other episode. It's not like a consistent thing with him. And I'm letting it slide for right now just because my French isn't good enough to know if this is a translation issue. Like, is he actually using the French form of this word and they're translating it directly? Or are they getting like a close approximation? Do those words carry the same weight in France that they do in the US? Is it some kind of cultural difference? I don't really know. My French doesn't include a lot of slang or colloquial terms, and my listening French really isn't that great to begin with, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this exercise. So I can't really be the judge on that. And with him, it doesn't feel like he's being directly insulting. It's more like he's coming across something he doesn't have a lot of experience with. So he's falling back on the coarse language that his much crasser colleagues in major crimes unit would have used. In most cases, someone will either correct him or kind of give him a look so you know that it's not really okay, but it's like, what's the line between insult and slur? And that's a very fine line that I don't know where it sits in this situation. The other thing that bothered me is in the last 2 episodes that I watched, they decided to make up a diagnosis for him. And they called it dysarthria and related it to dyslexia or dyscalculia, both of which I have. And they're just like, his brain just won't allow him to remember artwork. And I do apologize for all of the jump cuts. It's a Saturday morning. We have a ton of planes flying overhead, so I'm doing the best I can in post to edit that out. But I thought that was pretty offensive because they're treating it like it's an illness that needs to be corrected when it's very, very clear to anyone who has watched 5 minutes of this show that he has some kind of trauma around like high culture art. And we finally see that in these 2 episodes, like what has caused him to be so averse to artwork and high culture and history and all of this. And it's a pretty good childhood trauma that he has associated with it. It's like he won't even look at an artwork unless someone is explaining it to him. Like, he's very avoidant. That could have been handled better. I would have preferred to see them say, you know, this has to do with trauma. You need to go to therapy. You need to get over yourself and your macho-ness and go to therapy, rather than like dancing around it and making up their own diagnosis and trying to come up with some kind of special treatment for him, which I'm all for accommodations and self-identifying and everything. But I just felt that was a little bit offensive and it went a little bit too far. However, apart from that storyline, which really didn't take up that much time, I am really enjoying the show overall. I do really like it, and I will be continuing it. I think there's like 5 or 6 seasons available on Hoopla, so I am going to continue it. It's just going to take me a while to watch it because I only get 10 episodes a month, and that's not the only thing I want to watch on there. So I'm working through that. I am enjoying it. If you like art and history and crime shows, then definitely give it a check. See if it is on your library website. In my French language video, I did link to all the places where you can find it. There aren't a lot in the US, but if you have a VPN, I'm sure you've got more options than I do. So, you know, have fun with it. Go look. And until next time, keep knitting and enjoy what you're watching and reading, and stay cozy. Ciao.